Hello and welcome back to R33 Homestead. Today is Sunday, or I'm sorry, Monday, Labor Day, and it is about 11 a.m. here in southern Indiana, and it's very humid out. As you can see in the sky in the background, it's pretty gray. Rain is imminent, so it's a sweltering day here in southern Indiana. But also what's going on today on R33 Homestead is we are harvesting our 25 meat rabbits. So today's that one bad day that they have in their lives, right? Just like all of us, none of us get out of this baby alive. So anyway, they are this is it. So we're gonna go ahead and process it. We're gonna show you the setup. I don't know how much of the actual, it's just Mary and I, my wife. I don't know how much, we won't be able to handle the video camera very well. We might get some footage in here showing how we do every step. We'll just have to see how this video goes. But anyway, that's what's going on today. I'm gonna go ahead and walk over to the rabbitry and give you one last shot of them. They are beautiful bunnies. They have really come a long way. I think they're all between 5 and 6 pounds. We'll hopefully get about 2 to 3 pounds of meat after the processing. So again, if you're squeamish or don't agree with this, please don't watch this video. It is going to be graphic at to say the least. So here we go, folks. Rabbit harvesting day. Fresh rabbit meat is delicious. You can fry it, you can Instapot it, crock pot it, you can smoke it. It's delicious, and it's one of our favorite meats to eat that we raise. So hopefully you enjoy this video. All right, everyone, let's go over here and check out the rabbits. All right, we're just making our way over to the rabbitry right now. I don't know what the pigs are up to. There's Pig. There's Mama Pig. All right, so here they are. We did not move the rabbitry, so they are down to bare dirt and just a little bit of water. But as you can see, they are really, really healthy and good size. So these are really perfect bunnies. Again, we had 4 litters, which yielded these 25 rabbits. I'll put the breed types down in the description below. We've got 4 different breeds here. So anyway, it is a fun day on the farm. Actually, it's not a fun day, but it's you reaping the rewards of your work. Just like harvesting out of the garden, you know, it's exciting that way. It's a little sad because we, of course, love these bunnies, but we're also excited to get nice, clean, hormone-free meat. So that's the ultimate goal here. Save us a little money, and we know the rabbits have had a good life, been drug around this farm field for the last 2.5 months. So, and these are a little bit, we had a couple things happen in our personal lives, nothing bad, all good, just family visiting and different things like that. We would ideally like to have gotten these rabbits right at that 12-week mark. We found that for us, that's where we like them. We've done this a few times before, and we've gone too long. And we've also gone the other extreme too soon, and they were a little too small, so we didn't get as much meat as we had hoped for. So I think these are just on the tail end of the sweet spot. These are about 14 weeks, I believe, maybe 15. I'll have to break out Mary's calendar and actually put a date on that. I'll put that down in the description as well. Probably should have looked at that first. That's all right. So here they are, the beautiful bunnies. Again, we raised them for meat. They've had a great, healthy life. We're getting ready to process them and fill our freezer with 25 rabbits. All right. Now a little bit about the setup. This first station over here, I just whipped this together today. We don't have the barn done yet, so we're kind of having to make do. We saw this method. We've seen a lot of different methods on YouTube. We did watch some YouTubes. It's been a few years since we've done it. We just wanted a little quick refresher, and plus it's fun to watch other homesteaders, their setups, their processes. It's a lot of fun. One of our favorite homestead channels, we watch about 6 of them from time to time, but Living Traditions, she's got an entire, I can't think of that lady's name right now, super sweet, her and her husband and their two girls. But they have a ton of videos out there. Their site is enormous. I mean, they're making money on YouTube. We're not even close to that stage, and probably never will be. Have a slightly different mission there. But anyway, they had this, I think they call it the hopper popper, Living Traditions is their YouTube channel, and I think they call it the Hopper Popper, so I'm stealing that name from them. But we've seen this method before. It's just took some scrap wood, and you just put the rabbit up in here, their heads up top, their bodies down below. You give one quick yank, it snaps their neck, killing them immediately. And I think I'm going to try this method. What we've used before, when Mary and I have done this 2 or 3 times before, processing rabbits at our old house, we use the club method, which is, it's hard. Even for me, it doesn't really, I killed just about every kind of animal that lives in southern Indiana, this, you thumping something in the back of the head and it twitches and you're holding it while it's, you know, just its body's going through reaction. The rabbit is dead, but it's a little gruesome. So this looked a lot more humane, and we're going to give it a dance, and hopefully it works fine. We've done the hammer in the back of the head with we didn't use a hammer, we used a wooden mallet in the back of the head, and that's okay. But like I said, the body twitches, and it's a little harder for the person doing that part of the job, which is yours truly. So anyway, we're going to try this Hopper Popper. I'm stealing that. I think his name is Kevin on Living Traditions. And we're going to try this method today. If it doesn't work, we'll go back. I got my mallet out too, just in case. But this will be phase 1, snapping the rabbit's neck. And then I'll show you the rest of the setup here. And this is just some scrap wood I had that we took off of our old wooden deck before we poured some concrete. And ideally, you have a setup station, which is what we had at the old house, where you can process animals. That's where we did our deer and shoot everything, goats, rabbits, chickens. But right now, like I said, the barn is still a work in progress, and hopefully we'll get that done here before the snow flies. But right now we got to get these bunnies processed. Like I said, we're about 2 weeks behind our ideal time, which we're going to get a little bit more meat, and I still think it's going to be fine. The hide's going to come off, all that good stuff. But there's Silly Tilly. All right, so let me show you the rest of the setup. All right, so here's the rest of our setup. We've just got it here on our patio, right off of our kitchen door. So we're using a ladder. Again, not really ideal, but here's what we've got. We've got some Walmart crafting wire, right? 90 cents a spool, 98 cents a spool. We got some old fishing hooks here. We're just going to pin that just kind of like you would a deer, right behind its hind legs, the ligaments, between the ligament and the bone, and that'll just hold it securely up there. So we're going to bleed out 2 rabbits at a time and gut them 2 at a time. So we've got a double setup here, right here on the other side as well. So not a whole lot of money wrapped up into this. Again, kind of a temporary setup. We're doing it out here too. Again, normally you would have a dedicated area, but we don't have that yet because the barn's not done. Just too much going on. But we're doing it on the concrete over here, just so we can hose it off and keep plenty of water on the scene for sanitary reasons, keeping the fur out of the meat, and just also for easy cleanup, because we don't have water out there where the barn's going to be yet either. So we've just got our little 4-foot folding table here, which is going to act as our cutting board. We don't really care about this table. That's its purpose, is farming type stuff, canning stuff, and now a little meat cut up. We got a bowl of soapy water, just for occasionally rinsing off tools and hands as needed. Mary, of course, has bleached everything out here. We've got a tote of water here that we'll put the rabbits in once we get them gutted and skinned. And we'll put some ice in there to keep it cool. And then we too, as many of the other YouTube channels state, we also put them in the fridge for a couple days just to cool them down. We have never done a brine before, but we are thinking about doing a brine this time. We got a little time to think about that still, but we'll let you know if we end up doing that. We've never done it before, but we got on a kick the other night and watched about 6 of these videos, and a lady did it, and I've just never seen that, but it sounded pretty darn good, and I kind of believe what she was telling us in terms of the taste of the meat. She was a true hunter and processed all kind of animals on her place, and I can't think of her name or channel. If I can find it again in our history of watching the YouTube videos, I'll put a link to that one in the description too. Totally different vibe from what you're seeing here in the Living Tradition, so it's worth to see it's worth it to me if you can see a variety of methods, and then you just kind of fine tune it to, you know, what you like to do. We were at Walmart yesterday, and I just went ahead and picked up, they had actually one on sale, so this was like 10 bucks. Came with these 4 tools and a little cheap sharpener, but my other hunting knife's a little bit dull, and we can't find our knife sharpener now to save ourselves, so we're gonna have to pick up a little knife sharpener on Amazon, have it shipped to the house. So anyway, that's the tools we're gonna be using, primarily just this knife and this pair of shears, just for cutting the head off and the ligaments or the feet and stuff like that. And we'll show you that. Hopefully one of us will be able to hold the camera. Again, I'm not sure how this is going to work, because it usually takes 2 of us, and we have 25 to do. Like I said, it's already about 11 o'clock, so we got to get the ball rolling here, because it's going to be an all-day lollipop. So anyway, stay tuned, and we'll have some rabbit meat for you here shortly. But that's our medieval primal setup. Got the fans going out here too to help stay a little bit cooler, and at least take a little break and pop your face in front of it to cool off for a minute. But that's our setup for the rabbit processing day. All right, folks, more in a minute.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, so here we go. We're getting ready to do the hopper popper. So if you don't like this stuff, please don't watch the video. I don't want to offend anybody, but this is how we get our meat. Majority of our meat here on the homestead is raising it and processing it ourselves. So I'm getting ready to grab a rabbit. We'll see who lucky contestant number 1 is. I'm just going to hold it by the ears and the feet and put it in that hopper popper and give it a tug down, and hopefully it snaps its neck. Kevin made it look really easy on Living Tradition. So Kevin, I hope it works just as well as you demonstrated on your video. So here we go, folks. So here's the first bunny. Lucky contestant number 1, led a great life, good shape. Just gonna put its head up here, put it between the V, and give it a hard tug down. And that's it, just broke just like that. And that's enough. All right, so we did the hopper popper, right? We broke the rabbit's neck, and here's the next phase. We were gonna use big fish hooks, and that worked for a minute, but then they broke, so that little craft wire I got wasn't quite strong enough, so we went back to our old tried and true method of rope with slip knots. It's just the easier way to go. I saw that hook idea, and we had it, so I thought I was going to try it and do something new and cool, and it just didn't work out for us. We just didn't have strong enough wire. So once you get the rabbit where its neck is broken, and you get it up here, hung up by its hind legs, then what I like to do is just go ahead and wet it down. You can wet it down. Some people do, some people don't. You still get fur everywhere, and you're battling fur, but I think it helps a little bit. So after you wet the rabbit down, the next thing you want to do is just go ahead and cut that head off. And using that kill bore, which I do really like, I think that's the way to go. That's better than the wooden mallet that we used to use before. It's much quicker, and it also really separates the neck. So all you got now holding the rabbit head is just some loose skin. And I still like to make a little incision back here just so I can see what's going on. And then once you're kind of in there, you can kind of see there's the head. There's no bone there, so it's literally just cutting it out. Get the head in there and let it bleed out. So the next thing I do, and I've got a whole bunch of knives here, different sizes and different things. You can really just use one knife. We're probably being silly here, but I do have favorite ones for different parts of the body. And so I just do a little circle around the feet, around the hind legs. And you're just trying to really just do a little circle. Like everybody else says on YouTube, just kind of keep that knife blade away, obviously, from your fingers, but also try not to cut into the meat through the hair, just to minimize that hair. You're battling hair regardless. You do chickens, you battle feathers. You do rabbits and game with fur, you battle the hair. So it's just part of it. So I go ahead and do this other leg also. And again, we're just trying to get a nice clean circle. Well, it doesn't have to be clean. I hit the ligament there, we don't usually want to do. So Mary and I don't quarter the rabbits. We just bag them up. There's a lady on YouTube that we saw also does the same thing. And we just, once we skin it and get the paws off, the front and back legs off, then we just put it in a freezer bag at whole, because you can cut it up later when it thaws if you want cut pieces, or you can crock pot it and it's nice and curled and fits right down into your crock pot or Instapot. So that's how we like to do it. Now we'll cut it up obviously if she's making fried rabbit, which is outstanding, but most of the time it's just in an oven or a crock pot or Instapot type deal. So once I got circles here, I like to make a little cut here. Again, we're about 2 or 3 weeks past the ideal time. It was just we had some stuff going on in the family, and you know, made some choices to just kind of put this on hold. It's still really tender, really easy to pull the rabbit fur off, the hide off, but it's not as easy if it was 3 weeks ago. So it is still a little tighter than you'd really like, but I make little cuts here. Sometimes you don't even have to cut if they're younger, is what I'm getting at. And then once you get the front or the legs kind of peeled down, don't pull too much past the hip area, and I just make another incision here and cut that area. And I'll do the same on the back side. I'll pull it down a little bit more. You don't want to pull too much because it'll make the bladder empty and the anus empty, so we don't want that if we can avoid it. Not gonna lie to you, all the YouTube channels you're gonna look at, 90% of them are perfect videos. That's not really field dressing animals. Any real hunter, anybody who's out there doing stuff, sometimes the bladder bursts, sometimes it poops itself right in it. So that's why you like to have water available when you're doing things as much as you can. It's a little harder out with deer because you're out in the thing, but a canteen of water can at least get it out of there until you can get home, back to your home base station, and clean it out properly. But we got a hose here. We've had some bladders break on us, we've had others not, and so it's just kind of hit and miss. Everybody on YouTube, of course, preaches that you don't really want that, and it's true. You don't want to taint your meat, but it's not the end of the world if it happens. I'll be honest with you, it's not the end of the world. You think the bladders and animals aren't defecating each other, the ones you're eating in the store, you're fooling yourself. So they don't really care about the humane part of it or the cleanliness part of it. They're just into how much can we get done in the cheapest, quickest way. Once you kind of get this, and you can put your fingers through the back side, then you've got a nice clean area. You can come up here and just kind of cut straight up. And we're trying to get that anus cut too. Sometimes it cuts and it's easy to pull out. Sometimes if they're a little tougher, you got to get a little knife in there and just give a little tweak just like you would a deer, kind of cut around it, and then you can pull it out. But again, sometimes the poo comes out, sometimes the pee comes out. It's not the end of the world. Just hose it off. Unless your meat is sitting in it forever, that's not going to ruin it. Then you just kind of pull it off like a shirt or a sweater, and it just comes right off. You can really stop at the front feet. I go ahead and pull it all the way off and just dump it in the bucket. And I'll go ahead and rinse it off again just to get some of the hair off. I do 2 or 3 rinses in this process, just again to minimize that fur on the meat. You don't want to pull, put a piece of meat in your mouth and have some fur. That's really not fun. To me, that's worse than gaming meat. But anyway, it just kind of helps to keep everything clean as you're going. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and snip these front paws off, and then I'll get the tail off, and then we'll pull the insides out. For the paws, I just use some kitchen shears. You can use bone snips too, but these work pretty good. These are small animals, so we don't really have to fight it too much. Just find the joint. You're just going through the ligaments at the joint, and that takes care of that. I'm going to go ahead and get the tail. You can see it's just a real easy snip at this point. I'll use the same tool there. Get rid of that guy as well. All right, we still got a little fur up here towards the front. So again, they're all the same, but just like us humans, sometimes they're just a little different. Each one just might take an extra cut here, an extra cut there. I might not have done stuff exactly the way I normally would because I'm on video and thinking about that. Probably too much so. But There, just get rid of that guy right there. Now you got a nice clean. Just gonna crack the pelvic right in half. It just splits really easy. Again, that's the beautiful part about rabbits. And I'm just gonna make a little incision down here. Open up that cavity. And there's the guts. And I go ahead and use a hook knife here, just because, again, I like to use these tools that I've got. And you got to be careful at the top that you don't get that bladder. There it is. I almost got it right now talking to you. But you can pull the skin away. You don't get it. And there's the bladder, and there's the insides. And you can just really kind of pull it apart. And everything just wants to naturally fall out. Just take your hand in there. It's a little icky the first time you do it, right? Maybe the first litter you process yourself. Drop it in the gut bucket. You can pull the liver out. We're not really big rabbit liver eaters, but we're going to save these for the dogs. There's a couple of spots on this one, but it's okay for dog treats. I'm looking for the gallbladder now, and I don't see it. Looks like the liver might have torn, and the gallbladder might be on the other spot. But we're going to save these for dog treats. And we've got quite a few already inside. And then inside the rabbit, you'll see, here's where we're going to puncture the sac to get to the lungs and the heart. It's not a bad idea to kind of pull all that junk out of there. I don't really like to eat it. I'm sure if you crock pot it long enough, it's fine. So there's the lungs. Throw that in the dog treat bucket. Kidneys, we don't really give the kidneys to the dogs either. I'm not a big kidney eater. It's just my own stuff in my head. I just don't like eating the filters of the body of other animals. Probably silly that way, but and then there's the heart down here. Right there's the heart. We'll give that to the dogs too. Mary will cook that up for the dogs. We're not giving it to them raw. You absolutely could. You can give it raw to the pigs. They'll eat it just fine, but we don't want the dogs getting sick. They're not used to this all the time. We just process 2 or 3 times a year. I stick my finger through it, right? So there's got an area for the water to drink. So I'm going to hose this off in a second again. I'm going to finish pulling out the guts. And hopefully nope, it's going to fight me again. So sometimes that digestive tract and anus and everything just pulls right out of there, and sometimes you got to fiddle fart with it. And of course I got the camera on, so this is one of those times I got to fiddle fart with it. I just grab the bladder and literally just pinch it so it doesn't leak inside, pull it right out. There's the bladder. Got a little pee that shot on me, but usually it shoots out past the meat. There's a little bit up there, no problem. Let me go ahead and give it a rinse off with the hose. Sometimes you get a little poop that comes out too. Some people don't feed their animals prior to processing day. Mary and I are too soft-hearted. We like to give them a last meal and get everybody, we don't want to stress. It's stressful enough on us, and they can sense that already, so we don't like to stress anybody else out. I don't really know if this is true or not, but rabbit fat doesn't cook well, and we've heard that from our family and hunter friends, and we've also heard it on the YouTube channel. So again, we just pull as much fat out of there as we can, as much of this stringy material, this membrane, get it out of there too. Probably won't hurt you if you ate it. It just would be a little chewy is all, and we try to avoid that as well. So again, you see the anus up there. Sometimes that pulls right out. In this case it didn't. So you just shove your finger up there, kind of loosen it up, right? And then see if you can grab it, and sometimes it'll pull out the other way, and other times you got to cut it. And I think this is one of those times I'm going to have to cut it. And this is just take your time. You don't want to cut your fingers, obviously. But I'm just going to cut right through this guy. It's not the smoothest deal, but again, how we're doing this meat, it's going to be okay. We're not looking for perfect pieces like a restaurant would be. A lot of times restaurants like to cook the rabbit so they look familiar, like proper cut pieces of chicken. But again, we just want the meat. Pull this guy out of there. I got a hold of it now. I don't know if the camera's going to catch it, but I'm just going to cut down now. Still not coming out of there. Of course, had like 5 good ones in a row, and There it is. So got that little guy out of there. Don't really want to eat that. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to cause any problems. There's no bacteria that'll live past the cooking and freezing process, but it's just chewy meat, and it's just a little too chewy for us. So once you get that, you can just kind of put your finger up there, put it right through, and that's what you want. You want to be able to put your finger through both ends, and then give it another hose off, get some more hair and blood out of there, and if any urine or poop came out, you can get that out as well. Just give it a nice big hosing, rub it a little bit, get the excess hair off. If it splatters on your face, gets in your eyes and mouth, it's not going to hurt you. You're going to live. Remember, most extreme dads, my dad wasn't this way, I don't want you to get the wrong impression, but they'll take their sons out, make them eat a deer heart and all that crazy stuff you see on the movies. There's people that do that for real. It's not going to kill you. I don't recommend it all the time, but it's not going to hurt you, so you're okay. I think we've just gotten soft over the years, and we've forgotten that we can be a little bit dirty. Just loosen up the pull strings. A little hard when your hands are soaking wet. And pull the rabbit out. And this is really kind of the grossest part. Go ahead and empty the water out of there too. It's slow draining because the skin closes on itself. There's a hole there, like I said. This is kind of the not gruesome part, but I mean, you got to break a bone here. It just doesn't snip too easy. You can take a cleaver, which I have a really heavy cleaver that we've used before, but I cannot find it right now. We've still got about a fourth of our stuff in totes, and I just don't know where the heck it is. But just break it like that. You can kind of feel it now. And I can take my little shears. Oh, I lost where it was. There it is. And just cut right around that bone. You're trying not to get too many bone fragments or splinters, because again, that's not fun to eat. And of course, the one I'm doing on video is not quite right. There it goes. I got you now. And we'll do the same on this leg. You can break it either way, doesn't matter. You're just looking to get that, you can get a place to cut. So you're not cutting through the bone, you're just cutting through the skin and the fur. That one went a little bit easier. Throw those in the waste bucket. And this you're just going to trim off, again, nice and easy. I have to do the blade away from me at this point. It's not my favorite way to do things, but my hands are so slick, because we've already done about 10 of these, that I cannot take a chance, because these knives are razor sharp. I almost broke my rule right there. And then we'll just hose them off again, and then put them in the cooler of ice, and then Mary will take them inside, and we'll get some video of that here in a little bit, and she'll show you what she does when she bags them up. And we'll put them in the refrigerator at about 40 degrees for 2 or 3 days, and then we'll put them in the freezer. Here we are again at our 33 Homestead. We're taking a rabbit break. I think we got 7 or 8 done. We got 25 total. We're actually going to do 24. We decided to keep one of the big boys and have a second buck backup. So we got Sammy Davis Jr. now and Buck on the male side. We still got Stormy, Cinnamon, and Sugar on the female side. That way we got a little built-in redundancy in case times get rough here in America over the next 12 to 24 months. It's actually just in case something happens to Buck, we can still have some meat. But all the above is true, right? So anyway, I'm just taking a little break. I think next, yeah, that's it. Action.
Hi, welcome back to our 33 Homestead. We have been at this for about 8+ hours. We have, I guess the nice word is dispatched 24 rabbits, and now we're at the last 4. So Chris has done the majority of the work because it's too sad for me, but I am the helper. And here we are. We've got 2 rabbits, and this is kind of the last part where I'm bagging them. So I like to use my vacuum seal, my food saver, and I've got a couple here, last chance in the water, And then I just take a serrated knife, and there's still a little bit of fur left, so I just kind of run it across, and I put it above my sink, and I just let all the water kind of drain off of it before I put it in the vacuum seal. We're going to do them whole. Maybe the next litter we'll cut it up and do some fried rabbit, or maybe I'll chunk it up for fried rabbit when we defrost them. But because we had so many this time, just didn't want to spend the extra time for cutting them up right now. So I'm just going to take the whole rabbit, and because we are going to do whole rabbit, probably just going to put it in the Instapot or the crock pot. So my goal is to freeze it in a circle. So that way when it's frozen, it'll just go right down into the crock pot or Instapot like this. So over here I've got my bags ready. I've got it labeled. I got rabbit September 22, and I'm just gonna plop it in the bag. I don't know if there's any science to this. Like I said, I just want to keep it in that circular motion. So I'm just going to keep it like that. Put it in the food saver. Let it catch. Once it vacuums, and then I'm just going to let it seal. I've got it there labeled. And then we're going to put it in the refrigerator. Everybody recommends 1 to 3 days. So I don't know, we'll shoot for 1 to 3 days, and then we'll put them in the freezer. Some other people recommend brining. We've never done that for turkeys. Always wanted to try it for turkeys. So maybe we'll do a taste comparison for our next batch.
Yeah.
So for right now, we're just going to freeze, and next time we will do brine, and we'll see what's better. So thanks for joining us today. If you can tell, we're really, really tired, but we'll
exhausted.
Sleep well tonight.
With a freezer full of meat.
Thanks for joining us. God bless.